I'm Terry Shepard. Being a confident podcast guest is a skill that can be learned. And that's why I wrote How to Become a Dynamic Podcast Guest and Sell Stuff. It's a sweet and short primer that teaches you about the gear, the appearance, and the messaging that can grab and hold today's micro attention spans and motivate your listeners to take action. How to Become a Dynamic Podcast Guest and Sell Stuff. The digital version is just $1.99 at Amazon. Grab your copy today and sell more books tomorrow.
In Conversation with Terry Shepard, award-winning broadcaster, narrator, and author. A deep dive into the writer's craft with the artists and support systems who create the stories we love.
Today's guest writes the kind of cozy mysteries that feel like coming home. Warm-hearted, sharp-witted, and packed with real charm. The kind where the sleuth is relatable, the stakes are personal, and the animals aren't just background scenery. They're true characters you end up rooting for. Author Darlene Dziomba made her debut with Clues from the Canines, launching the Lily Dreyfus Mystery Series in 2022, and her stories have already found readers around the world. She's also the director of membership for Sisters in Crime Grand Canyon Writers, and when she's not writing, she volunteers at a no-kill animal shelter in New Jersey, where she's known to chat with dogs while she works. Darlene is retired from a 34-year career in finance at the University of Pennsylvania, and these days she balances writing with reading, gardening, traveling, and life in New Jersey with her four-legged best friend, Billy. Darlene, it's great to be with you. Thanks for the conversation.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here.
Grand Canyon Writers is one of the best Sisters in Crime chapters out there. How did you get involved with a chapter so far away from where you live?
You know what? During the pandemic, they were doing everything via Zoom. And so I joined the chapter thinking, this is great. I don't have to leave my house. I can't leave the house anyway. And then one of their members was a marketing expert. And so she started this thing called the Mysteries and More Marketing Network. And like most writers, I really hate marketing. It's painful. It's so hard to try to figure out what's right. But I was like, here's a woman who knows what she's doing. I'm going to join this chapter so I can figure it out. And the people in the chapter are just so welcoming and so nice. And after 2 years, I was retiring from my full-time job. And I said, look, I got all these extra cycles now. I can do things that I actually really enjoy doing above and beyond writing. So I asked them, I said, hey, can I join the board? Like, if they were like, what kind of board experience do you have? I said, none. But they were willing to take me.
Give us the 411 on Tale of Deception.
Tale of Deception. It's the 5th installment of the Lily Dreyfus series. And Lily's been working at the Forever Friends Animal Shelter, and it is time for their annual fundraiser, which is a 5K run, 2-mile walk. They try to get animals adopted, but people form teams and they raise money to support their teams. And her boyfriend, Jim, is a former Marine, so he gets a whole bunch of his Marine buddies and they form a team. They're going to do the run together. It's great. They're like leading the pack, come in first. They're all shuffling around afterwards. And one of the guys drops to the ground. EMTs rush over. They're doing CPR, but he dies. And now it's what caused him to die. And then we find out he was poisoned. So now, who poisoned him and why? And Lily, she can't just let the police do the work. She's got to get involved.
What do you like most about Lily Dreyfus as an amateur sleuth?
I love the fact that she loves animals so much. She's like me. She's an introvert who would rather spend time with dogs than people.
And how do you make the pets feel real and essential to the story? You do it so well.
I will tell you that Lily has 2 dogs that I've modeled after dogs I've owned. So she has a Beagle Basset mix named Boone, and I had a Beagle Basset mix named Tugger for Tug McGraw of the Philadelphia Phillies, and he was quite a character. So Boone is Tugger, and Crockett is my terrier mix Billy.
And one of the things that always fascinates me about cozy mysteries is the balance between the darker moments while keeping that cozy tone. How do you do that in your writing process?
It's an interesting dichotomy to try and keep that balance because you need the puzzle and the mystery, but you don't want it to go too far down a dark corridor because people are reading cozies because they don't want that darkness. And I have to be honest, I feel the emotion while I'm writing. So as I'm trying to write something tense, like my shoulders are like creeping up and my neck is getting all tight. So I realize that when I've gotten too tense that I've gone too dark and I need to back a little.
Our special guest is Darlene Dziomba. She's talking about Tale of Deception, which is book 5 in the Lily Dreyfus mystery series. Her website is readdarlene.com. Lily's investigation involves a group of veterans and questions about the victim's past. What drew you to weave that angle into the plot?
So when I started this, Lily was dating a former Marine. Clues from the Canines opens with Lily getting the call from the state police. They've done a wellness check on someone, found him dead, but they have a dog, and they would like the shelter to house the dog until the state police can do their next of kin notification. And then, lo and behold, the man who's dead is Lily's boyfriend. So from that point, he was former Marine. So then I built upon the Marine friends that had come to his memorial service and what have you. But his dog's name was Burrow. He was a German Shepherd. And my dad spent 4 years in the Air Force in the Canine Corps, and he had a dog named Burrow. So that's where the dog got his name.
One of the fascinating things to me about your backstory is that you're volunteering at the Forever Friends Animal Shelter in Jersey. How has that experience influenced your writing, especially the way you portray shelter life and animal behavior?
Really did help me portray shelter life. They had a really great volunteer coordinator who did some outreach, and she had different people from the shelter come in and tell you about their job. This is what I do in a day, and this is how I got here. This was my path. And so I had all of this really great knowledge about people who didn't take really straight paths to becoming adoption coordinators or volunteer coordinators. And I've learned a lot about the operation. So it was just really fascinating to find out, it's more than just dogs sitting in cages and you go and pick one out. There's this whole behind the scenes faction that's happening. And it's really fascinating once you get to know it.
You have the reputation of being a dog whisperer. How do you talk to an animal?
Very carefully. Very carefully. And sometimes they need a little negotiating. Tugger, I loved him, but God, he was stubborn. I had to be very stern with him. Sometimes he just flipped me the paw.
That was the next question. How do you know that they are understanding what you're saying?
They get this look on their face. It's almost like humans. You can tell. There's this little spark that says, yeah, I'm hearing you. And then they turn their head but I'm taking it under advisement.
Lily, like most characters that appear in more than one book, has a personal life and relationships that evolve during the course of the series. How do you decide what to reveal and develop from book to book?
It's been interesting trying to tackle that whole character arc thing. And one of the things that is hard for me is romance. I don't write romance. Most people will tell you in my life I don't handle romance well. That's been the hardest arc for me. Lily has a very interesting core group of friends who are friends from my own life, can pick themselves out of my novels. But it's each book I try to use different characters to give the reader a different experience. There's Eileen, who's a champion runner, and she has all this cool running gear. She has amazing outfits and tank tops and matching sneakers. And then she's got Lucinda, the auditor, who's very detail-oriented and likes all of those little, nitpicky kind of facts. And then in Assault and Gobblery, I used a woman I know who does a lot of gardening, and my mom and I belong to a garden club, so I used a lot of horticultural facts from them. So it's just, picking and choosing what I think will interest a reader and what will make a good story.
We're talking with Darlene Dziomba about Tale of Deception. You can learn more about her at readdarlene.com. Is it therapeutic for you to explore some of these personal discomforts in your writing?
Yes, it is. It is. And I will say villains tend to be people from my past who I really did not like. I picture them getting in trouble, and it's very cathartic.
How do you keep the series fresh over 5 books?
I think it's just being willing to bring new characters into the fold and revealing new things about those characters and keeping the dogs funny. I think the people really love the dogs.
How do you give the dogs their personalities on the page?
It's just they have these little tics and mannerisms, and it's just finding the right words to express what those mannerisms are that help people understand how comical they can be. Like Billy will beat you to death with her tail. When she gets excited, that tail just starts going, and you're like, okay, dog, cool your jets, man. We'll get there.
It is a series. Is Tale of Deception a good starting point, or do you recommend to your readers that they go back to book 1?
I am not one of those people who you have to start at book 1 and read from the beginning. I would love everyone to read all 5 books, don't get me wrong, but you can pick it up at any point because I try to write them as standalones. There's always some backstory and some references, but I feel anybody could start at any place with them and be comfortable.
Many of our listeners are people like you who may have retired from a long career and are considering the transition to writing. What was that transition like for you?
So this is interesting. I never planned to write a book. I was at BasherCon Toronto and I was listening to this panel of authors speak, and every one of them had a protagonist with some type of dog-related role. So there was a dog groomer and a dog walker and a dog sitter. I said, you know what I've never read? I've never read a book where the protagonist worked in an animal shelter. And I have all this knowledge about shelter operations. And it was the craziest moment of my life, I'm just going to tell you. I said, I'm going to write that. And I traveled to BasherCon with a friend, and we met up for lunch, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do, Michelle? I'm going to write a book. And she just looked at me. She said, you're going to what? I'm going to write a book. I have this great idea. And I just started, and it was really interesting how writing developed this side of my personality that I didn't even realize was there. Because I was a finance person. I was very structured. I liked rules. I followed them. And here I was in this very creative profession, making up characters and dialogue. And it was really interesting to see the transformation from one thing to the other.
And as the series has progressed, where have your fresh ideas come from?
They come from things that are going on around me, honestly. So Assault and Gobblery is all about people in a community garden where there's a wild turkey that people have gone into 2 factions. They either think of him as a mascot and they want to keep him. And then there's he's a nuisance. We have to euthanize the turkey. And I saw it was a little 1-paragraph article in the paper about this turkey. And it wasn't a garden. It was a block on the street. And the turkey had taken a dislike to some of the people and would chase them to their cars and what have you. And I thought, God, I could build a whole mystery around this paragraph in the paper. So it really is. It's just like watching the news and seeing what happens in suburban New Jersey that helps drive my stories.
And you have a book that is being read on 4 continents. What has it been like connecting with readers around the world?
So here's the thing. I traveled a lot. So this is how I got read on 4 continents. I knew all these people in different countries who, like, I have a woman in New Zealand and I love Joyce. Like every newsletter, Joyce will send me a note, tell me what's going on. They're the complete opposite season. So right now she's getting like rain and we're getting snow. So it's like we trade off like what's going on. It's cool. It is really cool to have this like thing that helps me keep connected to people I may have met like on a vacation at some point.
What do you enjoy most about being part of the writing community?
I really like meeting other writers. So last year I did 3 conferences, and at all of them, there were other members of Grand Canyon Writers. So I was like, hey, we do everything by Zoom. We never get to meet face to face. Let's meet each other. Go to the bar, we'll get a drink, what have you. And it was just so much fun meeting these other writers and learning their life experience and what drives them and what they do when they're not writing. That's been amazing to me. I just got to tell you, I thought I would just be keeping data in a spreadsheet, which is perfect.
When you're not writing, you're an avid traveler, reader, gardener. Do any of these passions end up shaping your stories?
Oh, yeah. So a lot of the gardening in Assault and Gobblery came from things that I've done. And I actually describe one of the people of their gardening bag. They have this bag that they carry their tools in, and it has 20 pockets, and each pocket has a different tool in it. And I have a bag like that. It's so fun. Okay, these clippers, the big clippers in this pocket, the smaller clippers in this pocket, the saw in this pocket.
What is one thing readers would be surprised to learn about you?
A lot of people are surprised to learn that I'm an introvert because I have a really good front I put on. But let's see. I'm also a really good cook, man. I love to cook. I love to bake. Yeah.
What's your favorite dish?
I make a dish. It's flounder with a crab meat topping. And oh my God, it is so simple yet so delicious.
It's past lunchtime, but I'm already getting hungry just listening to you describe it.
What? Christmas is one of my favorite seasons. I love making cookies. I'm like, oh yes, I get an excuse to make cookies.
What's next for Lily Dreyfus?
Hi, this is it's in a weird place because what will come out in Tale of Deception is that Lily's been in a rough place. She left a very lucrative job as a social worker where she made pretty good money because mentally it was really wearing her down and she needed a break. And while she loves her job at Forever Friends, she's not really paying the bills. She knows that job isn't sustainable. And also her boyfriend Jim we're not kids, we're in our 40s. We have to move in together. So the next step for Lily, she's going to be moving in with Jim, having 3 dogs in the house who 2 of them think they're the alpha. So we're going to have to work out which one of them really is the alpha dog. And she's going to be with Jim full time, who kind of frowns on her PI work.
What do you hope people will take away from their encounter with Tale of Deception?
I hope they'll take away, wow, that it's really good to support animal rescue charities. You get a very warm, fuzzy feeling. Even if you're in there and you're scrubbing, you're scrubbing smelly kennels, you just feel good afterwards knowing that you helped those animals.
What author, living or dead, would you like to have dinner with?
I'd love to have dinner with Ian Rankin. First of all, I love D.I. Rebus. I just love his, he's very he's out in front, very blunt, but he's relentless. He is not stopping until he solves the mystery. And Ian Rankin is just so much fun. He's such a funny guy and such a creative writer. I would just love to sit in a pub and drink beer with him.
Tale of Deception. It is book number 5 in the Clues from the Canines series, written by our special guest, Darlene Dziomba. Her website is readdarlene.com. This has been wonderful, Darlene. Thanks so much for the conversation.
Oh, thank you, Terry.
In Conversation with Terry Shepard is a copyrighted presentation. All rights reserved. I'm Lisa Davis. Join Terry Shepard next time in Conversation.